Next, we look into software health development problem known as anti-patterns. So anti-patterns described some of the most common mistakes in software development, kind of like building your own atomic bomb. If we look into the anti-pattern history, you are probably familiar with the thing called design patterns. So design patterns present reusable designs in software, like strategy, command, singleton, and so on. Design pattern history, they come from the pattern languages which focused on the traditional architectures book from the 1997. This traditional architecture book on the design pattern was rediscovered by software people in 1987, and in 1994, the so-called Gang of Four published the design pattern book. And the design pattern motivation is quite simply that they encapsulate years of industry experience on software development, how to solve a sort of common software development problems with reusable designs. And anti-patterns are kind of like the opposite of that. They have actually been around longer in software engineering than design patterns. So Fred Brooks and the Mythical Man-Month in 1979 can be considered an anti-pattern. So what this Mythical Man-Month means that not all man-months, or I guess currently we should say person months, they are not equal. So if your software project is late, you have 5 software developers, and you're already behind schedule, then a traditional manager, not coming from software engineering background, might think that adding more people to this project as we are late would make it complete faster. When Fred Brooks pointed out already in 79 that this is not true. So if you have 5 people, you are late, you are working hard, you add 5 more people to the project. Now these 5 people don't know anything about the project. They are educated software engineers, but they don't know anything what's going on. So this actually means that the current developers in the project need to start onboarding, educating the 5 people that come into the project, explaining them how they work, explaining the relationship with the customer, explaining the requirements, where are the testing, where is the, what libraries are we using, and so on. So this actually makes the project complete later as you add so the law is that as you add manpower to a project that is late, it just make it complete later. So this is anti-pattern from already 1974. And coming back to this anti-pattern term, it actually appeared soon after the book of Gang of Four was published in 1994. The anti-pattern book recognizes certain viewpoints. One viewpoint is where do the problems emerge. The problems can emerge, according to this book, in software development. They can be architectural, which means system structure, and a third level is managerial, organization, and process level problems. They can have different scales. They can be on the object or class level. They can be part of the sort of microarchitectures. They can be part of the frameworks, application systems, even at the enterprise level, or they can be all around global software industry level. And this is sort of the scale that they recognize in the book. And they recognize different types of solutions to these anti-patterns. The solution can be software, technology, it can be process, or it can be role-based solution. And next we have a look on some of the anti-patterns that are presented in the book. The first one is called in the book the Blob. It is also known as God class or Winnebago. And it means a class in the software that monopolizes the processing while other classes only contain data. So a class that is too large has too much responsibility. This is a typical application level problem. And the problems emerge in the development. The book also outlines the root causes of being laziness, or sloth, or having time pressure. That's what the book thinks are the reasons. And some of the more surface level causes for this is lack of design. So hopefully no one designs this large class into existence. It can also be iterative development or proof of concept prototype. So you are trying to prototype, you are trying to see if you get anything working. You don't care about the architecture too much, the class design too much, you just try to get something to work. And suddenly you realize that this proof of concept prototype has this one big large class, and next thing you know, the manager asks, well, when can we deploy this? And then you don't have time to refactor, and then, then you have the problem. This might also be caused if the requirements sort of dictate a procedural style. So procedural style of programming instead of object-oriented style, where the responsibilities should be sort of more distributed. Solution, software-based solution, reallocate behavior to other classes. So next, anti-pattern, titled Golden Hammer. And this is basically the thing when if the only tool you have is a hammer, then everything looks like a nail. And you want to apply this hammer everywhere. And basically you have a high knowledge on a particular solution or a vendor product. And then you try to apply this to apply this to everywhere. So let's say you are a project organization, you developed custom software for your customers, and you have been very successful in using SAP, this enterprise resource planning program from this German software giant that is well known, and you have been deploying it to your projects very well, and you have been very successful. And let's say all of your projects have been sort of large-scale projects. And then you get like maybe the economy is in a downtrend and you have to accept a smaller customer that wants something more simple, but then you still try to apply this SAP product to this smaller customer with much less requirements. And then this would be a mismatch. Then then the SAP becomes your golden hammer and you try to apply it to everywhere. You try to apply it even to the small scale problem, although the SAP software itself is meant to sort of solve large scale enterprise resource planning problems. So the causes are, you have several successes with the particular approach. You have made a large investment for a certain type of product. You might have a lot of knowledge of the particular product, let's say SAP. You might have also worked very sort of isolated, so you don't know any better. And according to the book, the problems emerge in development. It's an application scale problem. The root causes are claimed to be ignorance, pride, and narrow-mindedness, so you don't know about any other solution. You are very proud of your current solutions and you don't want to know of the other solutions as well. Now the solutions are process-level solutions that are suggested. You commit to exploration of new technologies. You hire people with different backgrounds, so not everyone is, for example, the SAP expert. And you invest in staff development. Now the final example is one size fits all. This is in some way similar as the golden hammer, except this is a project management problem. So you have a software process that does not fit in the business environment or in the life cycle. So you might have too bureaucratic software process for a small project, or you have own processes created under the official ones. So you have sort of a project a process approach that you try to apply for everywhere. Kind of like in the previous example, you had the software technology, the SAP, you try to apply for everywhere. And let's say in this case you have a process. In this case you have a process approach. So you try to apply maybe the traditional waterfall model process to a project that is really, where the requirements are really ill-defined. No one really knows what the requirements are. So you would have to actually do a prototype, send it to the production, and through this sort of discovery process to figure out even what the requirements are. but the IT management wants to have the same process for all projects and they sort of say that this is to avoid overrunning time or overrunning budget. So you want to standardize all the processes in the company, but it's not really a good idea because you might have different types of projects. And according to the book, the problems emerge in project management. This is also known as silver bullet software process. This is on an enterprise scale level. Root causes, ignorance, slot. And the solution is a process one. Identify the needs for the process instead of just taking in the process as it is. And identify candidate development processes, and finally tailoring the existing and the processes you have discovered outside to have a proper process that is a proper fit for the project that you are doing. And this concludes the anti-pattern examples. There are more in the book if you want to find out.